Uh, Good day, guys. Welcome to the webinar. Today I'm going to cover how to trade news and what type of pairs to trade during news session. So here we're talking about fundamental. We're talking about fundamental trading, right? Well, so in fundamental trading, so we trade news results. We trade news results, and mostly we trade major news, right? We trade major news, and these major news, I would classify them. You'll get to see what type of news are major news. So now, like I said, we are trading major news. So let's focus on what are major news, right? So here, major news, we are normally talking about economical news, the ones that reflect the direction of the overall economy. They depict the direction of the overall economy. Here we are talking about news like core CPI. CPI is nothing but consumer price index. So this shows the inflation of the country. Whenever it's combined with the interest rate decision, whether the interest rate of the country is increasing or not, and together with the consumer price index, this affect the prices of the goods in the country. And as a result, they will also affect GDP per capita, right? So now another one is GDP, which is gross domestic product. GDP is gross domestic product. And this really, it's the overall, if I were to say asset performance, not necessarily, I would say like the return of the country, the amount of value that the country has, right? And after that, we go to employment. Employment change. How many employees did the country have? Mostly government employees. And here we are also talking about the wage rate, right? Now, if I were to show you, if the wage rate increases and employment decreases, that's a negative impact as well, you see. However, if the wage increases and the employment also increases, it means that the country is performing well, right? More employees, and also those employees can have a better life, right? Can have a better life. In fact, I can separate them so that I can deal with them the way they are. So now, each country has the following: consumer price index, and remember we're talking about core CPI, either monthly or quarterly, but mostly the ones that moves the market are the quarterly core CPI, right? And we will also look at the retail sales. How many sales have been made by the retail industry? Retail sales. Here, it's also one of the major events in the market. Retail sales are also one of the major events in the market. I'm sorry about this. It's not a problem. I'll move it back. I'll move it back. So as I was saying, we have core CPI, GDP, unemployment change or employment change, and the wage rate. And we also have the retail sales. And we also have one of the inflation drivers, which is the interest rate decision. This is made by the Federal Reserve Bank, and it also affects the inflation of the country. And we can also have crude oil inventories. This is between USA and Canada. Now, there are major countries whereby each of the following takes place. For instance, if I were to show you, for USA, for core CPI, we will want to trade GBP USD, or we would want to trade USD JPY, right? For USA. So any pair of which the base pair can be USD or the supplementary pair can be USD. So mostly for me, I would prefer USD JPY because the JPY doesn't have much strength against the dollar. So if it falls, it falls hard. If it rises, it rises hard. So that is what is happening. So I wouldn't really trade GBP USD. I'd rather go for USD JPY. For Australian news, I'd go for AUD USD. Right, for Australian news, I'd go for AUD USD. Also, given the reasons above, that the USD is much stronger than the AUD. So if it falls hard. If it rises, it will rise with a smaller margin. But it depending on the economic outlook of the dollar during that quarter or that month or that year, right? So if it's New Zealand, I'd look for NZD USD for New Zealand. Note that the country that I don't mention here, meaning that I don't trade that country's GDP or core CPI or any other of the listed news that can have an impact on the economy. Now for Euro, I'd go for Euro USD. That's for Euro. And for Canada, I'd go for CAD JPY because it's much stronger against the Japanese yen, right? That is for Canada. Let me take this one down. And look, for the pound, for Britain, right? For Britain, I'd go for the pound against the dollar, GBP USD, or I'd go the pound against the Japanese yen. Look at how the Japanese yen is not a stronger pair against most countries, right? So all of these will apply to the interest rate decision, will apply to the GDP, will apply to the unemployment, and will apply to the interest rate decision. However, it would not apply to crude oil inventories, right? Crude oil inventories I would go for natural gas, or I'd go for USD CAD. This is because if Canada holds more inventories on natural gas, meaning that the price of oil to America is going to be much steeper than it was before. So you would expect the natural gas against the dollar to rise. And if it holds less, you'd expect natural gas to decline in value. So that is what's going to be happening. So now, how you trade news, you can either trade them on market execution, or you can trade them using buy stops and sell stops, right? I'm just going to give you an example of how to trade news when they're about to be released. So this is the type of news that you should be aiming to trade or looking forward to trade. These are the type of news that I encourage most people that who ask me to help them in trading. I encourage them to trade this type of news. Core CPI, gross domestic product, this is the GDP, unemployment change of the employment change with the wage rate, retail sales, interest rate decision, and crude oil inventories, right? Most of the time, for me, the interest rate decision, I would only trade the odd, right? The one for Canadian dollar, I don't mind trading it, but there's kind of like most of the time there's a lot of manipulation here, right? And for GDP, I always go for the pound, right? And I also go for the Canadian, right? Now for unemployment change, I go for CAD. Then sometimes, not always, sometimes I go for USD JPY, because there's quite a lot of expectation in the market. Many people trading USD JPY or trading the unemployment change, or what is normally known as NFP. So for me, I don't prefer that. I don't really prefer that, right? Also for interest rate decision, if I can forget, I also like trading the NZD USD. And for the retail sales, the major one for me is Australian dollar against USD, and New Zealand against USD. These are for me. This is how I trade my news, right? So I either use buy stops and sell stops, or I use market execution when I have a gut feel that it's going to go in my direction. Now, for buy stops and sell stops, I always start with the sell stop, right? I would look at the price, right, at, let's say now the news are released at 14:30. I would therefore look at the price at 14:27, right? 14:27. Then I'd look at the price for a sell stop. I would less 120 points. 120 points. Realize how I'm saying points, not pips. Né? I'll less 120 points from the current price, and I would be trading on M5, right? That is for my sell stop if I were to trade using stop orders. That's for my sell stop. The price at 14:27, right? You need to understand the price at 14:27. Then I would look to trade, to adjust first that price. Therefore, at 14.28, right? At 14.28, I would add 120 points for my buy stop on the current price. On the price at 14.27, I would add 120 points, right? On it's still M15 as well. So it's important that you do this very fast. You must have a stopwatch with you and start the time. And now I would exit my trades, sorry. I would therefore exit my trades I would exit my trades at 14.30, 50, or 14.31, one of the two. So you must always be on the lookout. Let me put it in red so that you can understand. You must always be on the lookout. Always pay attention to what you are doing and be fast when doing it. So it's important to trade one account and not be opening many accounts, right? Now, another thing to know is that always use risk management, right? Always. So fine, now you understand what you're doing, right? Let me just write here, NB, NB, NB. It's very important that you respect that. NB, always apply. Always apply risk management. Always. Now the question is, where do I use my buy stops and sell stops, right? I use my buy stops and sell stops. I'm just going to, okay, where I use my buy stops and sell stops, I'm going to put a thumbs up, right? On gross domestic product, I will use my buy stop and sell stop. I use my buy stop here. Employment change, I also use buy stops. Then interest rate decision, nope. Retail sales decision, nope, I don't use. Well, I can use, in fact, let me just put, I can use my buy stops and my sell stops, right? Also on core CPI, I can use them, but there's two places where I would like to bring your attention. Here, on retail sales and interest rate decision, I would prefer going for 200 points. I would prefer going for 200 points because now most of the time people get trapped in the interest rate decision and the retail sales. They get trapped. You find out there's a lot of manipulation. However, you still want to trade. Now, your buy stop, let's say it gets hit, which originally, let's say is 120 points, it gets hit, and then now the market changes. Now it stops buying, it goes to selling, you see. So here I'd prefer 200 points so that if there's some sort of stop hunt or some sort of way of trapping traders, then you can avoid that way that which brokers would be using to trap the traders, right? But it is very important that you apply risk management. So now that you understand what type of news that we are trading and for buy stops and sell stops, what points to use, which I apply and they've worked for me. Now let me take you to the apps, right? I want you to be able I would like you to be able to understand what is going on. So now I'm going to investing.com and I'm going straight into the economic calendar. You need to go to the economic calendar to view the news that are coming up. So right now I'm going for the next week. So for me, I prefer putting filters so that I can avoid reading into a lot of things, right? So under my filters, I'll choose news that are major and they are market movers. My internet is a bit slow. Just wait for me. Okay, oh, it was there. I didn't see. Okay, fine. I'd go for only, right, and then, yes, fine. Then I'll check for employment news, economic activity, central banks, and then the inflation and the confidence index. The credit, I don't really need them. Fine, here are my news for the following week. On Monday, right, in the morning, 3:45, this is China, I won't trade it. Remember I told you of those news, right? Then German manufacturing PMI, I won't trade it. Inflation hearing, I won't trade it. So Monday, we don't really have anything to trade. Then we come to Tuesday, the 4th of June. Nigeria, I don't need it. Retail sales in the morning. What did I say about retail sales? Let's go back. I said retail sales, I'll trade odd USD and NZD USD. Now let's go. I have odd Australian. So meaning that I need to trade what? I need to trade odd USD, right? And then fine. You can see the expectation is that it should fall by a point, right? So now in the same day, 6:30 in the morning, odd interest rate decision. Let's go back. What did I say? Interest rate decision, odd, right? I'm going to trade it next week. Fine, RBA statement comes at the same time with the odd, which will determine the major direction. Now, later on, we have, we won't trade construction PMI on GBP, but we'll trade CPI on Euro. Look at this. This is a May CPI, year to year, right? We're gonna compare from year to year. May CPI. It's not a core CPI, so it's not really that much of a market move. Later on, Fed Chair Powell speaks. This one, I won't trade it, but it's also important. Now, at 9 o'clock at night on Tuesday, we're having a Brexit vote. This one will be a major news movement, right? It can cover a lot of pips, more like 2,000 pips. So it's important that we use buy stops and sell stops, because this is not an economic event, it's rather a political event which has a major impact on the economy, right? So we need to also focus on that as well. But we'll see it on next week, Tuesday. Now on Wednesday, we have GDP, odd, right? Buy stop and sell stop, 120 points. Then services, we don't trade. ADP non-farm payroll, we don't trade them, we'll trade them on Friday. We won't trade this one as well. Then we come into Thursday, deposit facility, margin lending facility, interest rate decision, 1345, we can trade this one. But the rest, we leave them. The rest, or these ones, they will occur at the same time, so they might have a major impact on the market based on the euro. But mostly, Germany is the one that moves the euro greater than the others. And then IVPMI, we won't trade it. And then Friday, we have the non-farm payrolls, which is unemployment change, right? Together with the wage rate. So USD at 2:30 in the afternoon. So we can either trade CAD JPY and USD JPY, not USD CAD. However, CAD JPY and USD JPY, one of the two, or we can trade them both. So those are the news outlook for the coming week. So we'll be able to trade them, and we'll be able to capture quite a lot of money. However, with the risk management in mind, right? So now all we are left with is a real life practice, which is going to be on Tuesday at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Tuesday, we'll have to see a real life practice. I will open a small $500 account, and then I'll trade the odd retail sales, and then later on I'll trade the interest rate decision. You'll get to see how much you can make with fundamentals. It's quite a lot. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for watching the video. I'm glad that we can be able to help one another. I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy.